Welcome back to another episode of Fully Stoked Podcast. I am your host, one of them. I am Sarah Stokes. Cody's not with us because today I am interviewing a new friend of mine, Sarah Leslie. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Have you? Sarah has her own podcast, but let me first do my introductions. So, as you know, I do home financing and I help people buy homes and refinance and tap into their equity. Most of all, I really enjoy connecting other women entrepreneurs and business owners and helping others who are maybe behind them a few steps learn something. So Sarah's got some great life experience that she's going to share with us today, and hopefully you'll be able to learn something new. She also transitioned from one career after over 20 years in psychotherapy into coaching. So I'm really excited to hear more. Sarah Leslie Coaching. And Sarah, you're based out of Swannanoa, which is in Western North Carolina. And I'm so excited to have you. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So I have a lot of interesting things to ask you about, Sarah. But first of all, tell us about your transition when you were doing psychotherapy for over 20 years and you decided to make a life change. What was it? What was the catalyst and all that?
Gosh, there were so many things, and it was just this whole picture of my life coming to a point where I realized I was really unhappy, and the things that I normally would draw on weren't, quote unquote, working to help me get happy again or to just feel good. And I realized in my awareness at the time, what I thought needed to change the most was the place where I was working. And once I made moves to change that, so many other things unfolded that also needed attention.
And that's how it works, right? You make
Yes.
one change and it's sort of a ripple effect. Things just start happening. But it was obviously a good move for you.
Oh my
Right?
gosh, I haven't looked back a second, and that was well over 6 years.
So 2019, this started. And we were talking before we started, you have your degree in social work, and that's where you did your over 20 years of psychotherapy and therapy. I'm a big believer in therapy. I think it's really good for everybody.
Yeah.
And so you've been doing this for 6 years, coaching. So you help leaders, professionals, and family members
Yes.
shift from burnout. Girl, please tell me about that. Like, how do you, I'm still working on that. I mean, I think is it always something that we work on our entire life?
Well, I think it's a matter of how you look at it. So I no longer think about myself as working out of burnout. I think about myself now as working the most sincere way that I talk about it with, myself and with my own coach is learning how to live from faith, like for real.
Yes.
And that's kind of how I describe it, because I certainly would have said if, for people who knew me years ago, I was, very avid churchgoer, grew up in the church. My dad was a pastor, all the things.
Okay.
And I still got to that point where I was like, this just isn't, nothing is working. Like, I can't figure out how to get out of this. So big picture, I think we get to a point. I talk about it like this with my clients. We get to like a point when they come in and they don't feel good and they're like miserable or unhappy with their life, they get to a point in doing this inner work where they get to a tipping point and then they tip over to the other side. So they're working on getting out of burnout or working out of being miserable, as I call it a bit more dramatically. And then when they hit that tipping point and they tip over, then they start working on thriving. Then they start working on feeling really good and how to feel even better. So I use just different terms like that, but there is a tipping point where you shift out of feeling like I'm in burnout recovery to I'm really learning how to live and thrive.
Wow. And so we can do that with the help of a coach.
Absolutely.
Such as yourself. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it really does take somebody kind of holding my hand. I'm 48 and
Me too.
I haven't you're 48 also? Oh, wow. I haven't mastered it. So I'm still working on it. That's why I'm so excited to have you on the show for sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, that's really interesting. So you grew up as a PK. Is that what they call them? Pastor's kid. And do you mind if I ask a little bit about that? Like what denomination or what church was it?
Presbyterian.
Oh, okay. Yes, I grew up Presbyterian for much of my life too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love the overlaps.
Yes. How about that? So Swannanoa is near Black Mountain. Isn't that where Montreat is?
Yep.
Montreat is Presbyterian.
Yep,
We
exactly.
used to go to Montreal growing up. So yeah, it's a nice place for sure. All right. Busyness. I tend to make myself busy. And I think that is a huge contributor in my personal burnout experiences because I'm always trying to do something. If I have a few minutes, it's just trying to do something. And, like what is one tip, just one you would give to somebody you're working with who has a problem with busyness?
Yeah, well, I love busyness. I mean, and I'm also definitely someone who's recovering from busyness because I did the same thing. And I still catch myself in moments. And fortunately, now I do catch myself versus just living into the busyness. And so the bigger shift, we got to look for like, why is it that I'm trying to keep myself busy? Because there's always a like core theme that we're running, like a program, if you will, that we're running that says something that then leads to continued busyness. So like for me, it's something to the effect of, I haven't done enough yet. I haven't gotten enough done yet. Like I have all of these lists of things that need to get done, ways of tracking myself, whether it's on my calendar or on my to-do list or my little sticky notes around. And there's this feeling of like, oh, I gotta like get it done. And so then when I rest, like over the weekend or in an evening, the feeling pops up, something like guilt.
Yes.
For not
100%.
being productive. Yes. Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So then there's that's that undercurrent that I talk about. It's just like an undercurrent. So you're feeling it when you're busy. And then you're also feeling it when you're not busy, when you're actually resting and relaxing. So it's an actual program that the brain is running all the time, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I usually have like 14 windows open on my computer at least.
Of course.
And so there's only one or two that I can really look at, and certainly one that I'm paying attention to at any given moment. And there's a bunch of programs running in the background. So that's what that is. There's an undercurrent running in the background telling you, stay busy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get clear on that there is that undercurrent, then you can be like, oh, okay, now that I know what's going on here, I can actually ask myself some useful questions like when you're resting, do I really need to be busy right now? And then you can have an informed conversation, an informed conscious conversation.
Oh my gosh.
Versus just having it running in the background.
So my husband and I were talking about this past weekend, and I'm going to ask you because I think it resonates with everybody's experienced trauma on some level. They've lost a grandparent or something, major, minor, whatever. But I think this is our conversation, and I think it does relate to what you're talking about. But I'm having one of those aha moments. I'm like, so if I have a friend who constantly talks about their trauma, it almost like they're reliving it, and it's almost harming them more than if, they bring it into the light. They are conscious and aware of it. Okay, this did happen. It was traumatic. Now that I know it, now let's move on, or let's figure out how to be productive in spite of that trauma, right? So I think that bringing it into the light, that feeling of constantly needing to go is there. And I think that's brilliant. You bring it out, you're aware of it, you're conscious of it. But then, when I have that anxiety, maybe I can shift from being anxious about it instead and just say, okay, I know what this feeling is. Is that kind of right? I know what it is. Now work through it, or, keep going and keep resting. I need to continue resting for this period of time. Yeah. And I do struggle with that too. And I think so many of my girlfriends who are entrepreneurs do, because they're like, but I need to take Sunday off, but I can't because I'm trying to rest, but I have all these other things that are so like stressful, or Saturday off, or whatever day they want to take off, Yeah. And, but I think it's practice too. You just have to.
It is so much practice. Okay. And it's very subtle. And that's the reason that I have a coach, because these things are so subtle. So even when we bring them out into the light and we're now conscious, like, oh, that's what's happening. It's so just a part of who you are and a part of the way your brain has been used to working for so many years that you'll just keep doing it, even though you have awareness around it. And it'll pop up in places. So like, it's sort of like the whack-a-mole game. where you have conscious awareness. And so you like are able to attend to it in one moment. But then you're over here and your brain doesn't catch it in the moment. And so you're just in the busyness because it's like a slightly different program than the one you were running specifically over here.
Right.
So like sometimes I would say, especially if you have kids, right? Then the parent thinks they've just always got to be on and always got to be taking care of their kid. So they just won't even see that busyness pops up over here in our parenting. And then when they do see it, they whack it over there, but then it'll pop up somewhere else.
So it's got to be, I don't know if it's a lifelong thing, but certainly it's got to take a little time, right?
It definitely takes a little bit of time because
and that's why you need a coach.
Exactly. Because we really want to actually resolve that undercurrent, that belief system that says, I've got to always be busy. I've got to get X amount of stuff done in order for me to feel adequate, for me to rest. Right? Like it's almost like we're living in what a lot of us learned as kids, which is we've got to earn the rest.
Yes.
Right? And so we have to actually go into our thought process and rewire it to learn how to actually allow ourselves to not earn rest, to actually separate them.
I need that.
And so that's the thing that takes some time. Because, we're very attached to these limits that we have and these beliefs that we are running. And so we like resist letting go of them because it's the foundation that we stand on right now. It's just the operating system, right? You get up in the morning, you turn your computer on and it just like runs. It just knows what to do. We're the same way. Our brain is the same way. We get up in the morning and our brain just starts working. It just knows exactly what to do. So until we've actually gone in and rewired the brain. Of course, I'm not talking physically, literally going in, metaphorically going in and rewiring it. We will just keep running the busy program. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And my girlfriend Deborah was talking about this last week. She is rewiring her brain. She's in her late 50s, I think. And she said, and I don't know if your podcast might help, but you have a podcast too. And so you are on YouTube. I see on your website, you can go to sarahlesliecoaching.com and there is a direct link for several of them right there. Just go on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You have all of that on your website. But what I was getting at is, I guess the more you're aware of trying to rewire it, and the more, can you listen to podcasts? Can you listen to certain music or read certain things that would help like constantly reinforce that for a period of time so that it does? And then obviously, having a coach. I think all of those things, is that a recommendation? So
definitely
people check out your podcast, I would think.
Yep.
The one that is on your website right now, it might change. I don't know if it changes, but it's the Body Reflects Belief.
Yes.
Number 40, stop being upset. Your body. I love that. I can't wait to listen. I'm going to listen to it. That's really good.
So, it is. It's very good.
So one more question that I have for you is, what's the difference? Because I hear a lot of your wisdom that you have from a lifetime of being a therapist. I hear it and I respect that because I think so much of therapy, I think is really important. So what is the difference between a coach and a therapist really?
Yeah. What I would say even more deeply than the difference, I will definitely answer that question. And also, I just want to highlight the difference really comes down to the person and how the person is practicing. Because what I know now and have learned in my last, we'll say 8 to 10 years of life is radically different from who I was before that. So let's just say like from 30 to 40, I didn't have the information that I have now, both from my own internal work and my own coaching with my coach, alongside of all of the things that I've read and listened to and taken in. So the version of me that was the therapist was that version of me prior to what I know now. So just to highlight that, right? Because everyone is different. And to me, the difference for me personally, when I was providing therapy and versus coaching, if I don't look at, well, I'm a radically different person, that part, I would say that in therapy, I was listening to the problem and solving for the problem. So the person would come in, we'd sit down. We're also not virtual, we're in person when I was doing therapy. They come in and I would say, hey, how was your week? what's the problem you want to work on today? In coaching, one, I'm working with people who are, in therapy, I was working with people who were in what I think of as a really hard time or in the struggle of things.
Right.
With coaching, I've really focused in on people who are in a situation and they want things to improve and they're very committed to things improving.
Yes.
And it's a very subtle difference to be focused on wanting to solve a problem versus wanting things to improve. And even though it's subtle, it's a vastly different way of going about things.
I can imagine.
Yes. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I feel like a lot of people actually get stuck in therapy, ironically, because the therapist isn't really trained, most at least I'll say, aren't really trained to move people into the future, into whatever the new reality is that they want to be living inside of. That's just not what the therapist is trained to do. The therapist is trained to resolve a challenge and then really discharge the person.
Yeah.
But most people keep going. I mean, a lot of people, I would say, even very successful people like us, keep going to therapy, even though the problem has been resolved.
Yes.
And so they end up kind of getting stuck there.
Right.
Versus being referred over to coaching, where you actually work on whatever the reality is that you're wanting to be creating.
Okay. So can a person have a therapist and a coach?
Absolutely.
2 separate people? Okay.
Yeah,
At the same
absolutely.
time. So that would be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I don't mind being honest and raw, but I have a therapist, but I don't really go on a regular basis. I would say if there is an issue that crops up and I'm not exactly sure how to handle it the best way, sometimes because it's a problem, right? Then I'll schedule an appointment. But I did have therapy on a regular basis in the past when I was working through some other, major issues years and years ago. So it wouldn't overlap at all with then having a coach. And so it's not even necessarily a life coach. You could be, I see business on here as well. So relationships, business, faith, everything. You work with people in all of those areas.
I do, because the work that I do it's a very specific type of coaching. And I refer to it as doing the inner work. Now, you could talk about it just as much calling it rewiring the brain. So to me, they're exactly the same. It's just different language that's getting used. And I would also bring in the spiritual element, which I would say is actually learning how to live by faith, which is also the same thing.
Talk about that. That sounds amazing, because I need to do that too.
I love it. So yeah, there's definitely no overlap with the therapy or the coaching one. Okay. And, when I think about my upbringing and I think about what I was taught and how I watched my parents live their life, they did the very best that they could with what they had. And my dad talked about living in faith all the time. And now, as the conscious adult, I can look back and reflect, you know what? I just had this happen not that long ago. I'll see if I can remember the exact details. But this sentiment of, I started to notice in my life that when I have bills due or I have an expense coming up that I feel unsure about, I go into this pattern, this narrative of unsure I'm going to have enough money. Even if I totally have enough money, I still go into this pattern of thinking and worrying about whether or not I will. And just a couple of weeks ago in my own coaching, as we were really looking into this much deeper, I was aware, oh my gosh, I'm literally just repeating something that I heard my dad say a bazillion times as a child. It was so cool to actually catch it in real time, because that's something I've been experiencing, for years and years and years. And so just because my coach and I had really dialed in on this one conversation, at one point in it, I had this memory in my head, and I was like, oh my gosh, that I can hear my dad literally saying this exact sentence. So I was able to find it. Oh, cute. I love it. I was able to find it and consciously decide, oh, I'm not going to repeat that anymore. I'm leaving that in the past. It isn't even mine. Does that make sense?
So you had to consciously say, I love that. So that's growth. So you saw the growth that you had made in that one moment.
Yes. And
That's
decide yep, I'm not repeating that anymore. And from now on, I'm choosing to believe I will always have the money that I need.
That
I'm
is
always provided for. Right. Exactly.
So I've heard it said, this is kind of off script. So I have talking points for
Cool.
all of my guests, but this is so riveting. I'm just going to go. You seem like you can handle it. So
Yes.
I've heard it said that I lost it. Where did it go?
Living from faith,
Yes, we were talking about living from
trusting
faith.
that will always be provided for.
Women, that's what it
Yeah.
is. And I don't know if this is true or not, but it's just in me, security is so important. And I don't need to be rich. I need to feel secure. Like I'm going to be able to pay the bills for upcoming months. It would be great if I had a spreadsheet and I had the money in the bank to pay all of my bills for the next 24 months. I would just feel very secure, right? And
Yeah.
anything else would just be, and I don't need, to go on fabulous vacations or anything like that. But my husband is he does handle the finances. But in other words, security is not his first thing that he thinks of, but it's always the first thing that I think of. And some of my other girlfriends, we've talked, and it sounds like it's common anyway with women. Have you found, working with women sometimes security?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
definitely.
hard to have faith about finances. But I've also been to the place where I didn't have anything. So faith was all I had.
Sure. Yeah.
All right, God, you're going to have to get me through this because I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And he always has. So,
Well, a couple of things there. Like one, women are absolutely conditioned differently than men are, for sure. I mean, I'm actually hosting a women's group starting in the new year to specifically dial in on this thing exactly.
Really?
To be able to really recognize what are the nuanced ways that women are conditioned. And this is one of them, right? I mean, for hundreds of years, you could just really say for the whole time we know women have been alive, we've been conditioned to depend on the men for our provision. So only in the last, however many years here, have we been able to actually have our own bank accounts, be responsible for our own money. That's like relatively new comparatively to how long women have been alive.
Yeah.
So we are, you and I, along with all women present listening to this, are negotiating through that conditioning that is in us. So it's natural that you would feel more of that feeling of like needing to feel secure because it's been conditioned in women for centuries.
It makes sense. Yeah. And it's across many cultures, probably most
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes, everywhere. So you hear that reinforced if you from today forward, and as you are watching TV, watching movies, listening to music, you're going to be like,
yep.
Oh my gosh, there it is.
Because now it's just awareness. Now I know you said that. So
exactly.
Can you tell us about that group or any group if somebody wanted to find out more about becoming a member of one of your groups? Are they all online, all in person? How does that work?
Everything that I do is online. That was part of my 2019 shift of my whole life was I want to be able to travel and be remote and do shit that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm all online. I work with people one-on-one. And then I have two groups that I host. One is actually called the Faith Pod, and it's for people who are typically like earlier on in their 5 years of business, and they're really wanting to learn how to level up in their business and lead more powerfully and work out details around pricing and offers and all of that kind of stuff and any insecurity around sales. And then this women's group, and that group has 5 people in it only. And so people just rotate in and out of there.
Okay.
And then
so
this
it's limited to 5. Okay.
It's limited to 5, yeah. So that everybody still gets really in-depth attention. Not as much, obviously, as one-on-one. And still very you're going to get the attention.
Yes.
Then the women's group that's starting in January, later January, it was birthed out of my own inner work and my own work with my coach of learning how to be more authentic, more direct, and more clear. Now, let me tell you, I thought I was all those things. And in the last handful of years working with this particular coach, again, because we're going in and we're attending to the wiring, he's not coaching me on external things. He's not helping me learn how to do a funnel. He's helping me learn how to be a better person, how to be more responsible for myself.
Okay.
And as I learn those things, I just become more authentic, more clear, and more honest. And so what has happened is I've like started to change in ways that I just didn't know were possible for me to change. And I've been making more bold requests, and I've been insisting on different boundaries and parameters and standards than I really thought were possible for me.
Wow.
And again, I've always been a strong, independent woman. So this is like where this group was birthed, where I was watching also my clients and my women clients specifically, who were following some of these steps of being like the good girl and being appropriate and trying to like be really nice when they're now doing business, which, you know, business and being really nice and like accommodating and people pleasing, they don't work out well together. So that's where this group was birthed, because I was like, I want to start a group specifically for women who are already kicking butt, who are already doing amazing, who love most things about their current life, and recognize there's more for me. Yes. I just don't know how to get it. And yes. I notice these moments where I feel bad about resting. I feel bad about not working all the time. And there's a really easy way to undo that. So that's what this group is about, and the specific women that it's for.
How does one get more information about this group, sign up for it, find out do it?
So I have a flyer, a description of the group that I can give to you specifically, okay. And you can include in the show notes if you want to. And then really the best way is to set up a time to meet with me where we focus in and get really clear on what is it that you're really wanting right now? What are those nuanced ways that you're noticing yourself getting held back or slowed down from having the lifestyle that you want? And then if it feels like a good fit, then we'll talk more details about the program and what it would look like to join.
And so it would be online, and it would probably be a limited number of seats as well.
Yeah, that is going to cap at 10.
Okay.
So it's going to be a combination of teaching, because again, we just don't know what we don't know. And if the things that are showing up are these really fine nuances, then we got to learn about them. So it's going to be teaching and then live coaching. And then also we're going to break up into groups of 2 for practice. And we're just going to like get right down to business right there on the call. So it'll be a teaching around some of those nuances, and then you'll break up into pairs and actually practice setting that new standard or saying the thing in a new way that your brain just wouldn't have come up with had we not talked about it.
I think that's fantastic. I see a lot of value in that. I've talked to a lot of different coaches, business coaches, life coaches, all different types of coaches. I think a support group sounds like an easy, get your toe wet, just to check it out, I guess. That sounds like a good way to start for anybody out there. And will it be rotating? So let's say it's such a hit, right, that people just don't want to stop the group, but you might have 1 or 2 people fall off eventually. Would you be able to put more people in and continue on kind of like your other group? Okay.
Yes.
So you would be willing to do that. So even if somebody sees this in a couple of years, they might need to check out your website and check it out.
Oh, for sure. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
But I can't wait to get information on that. So, and then your Faith Pod also, if somebody wanted to be a member of that group, then they would just need to reach out to you and okay.
Yeah. I really like to have those personal conversations with people before they enter into the containers.
Yes.
To make really certain we're a good fit for each other. True. They get a chance to get to know me, get to know a little bit of my style and how we have conversations. And then I also know that I'm curating the rooms really intentionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you have like a discovery call, or do they input on your website? They can go to your...
There's a booking link to be able to fill out just a very short application, get a little bit of information, and then I just reach out to the person directly. I'm a real fan of like lots of direct contact because we're engaging in the growth and in the transformation from day one, like from first contact. And so I find also that just helps people feel a little bit more comfortable versus going to a lot of automated links.
Sure. Yeah. So I don't want to keep you too much longer. I appreciate your time. And this has been great. But I just wanted to touch on, you said that becoming the bravest version of yourself. I think everything we've talked about that has kind of added into that. As you reemerged as the bravest version of yourself, what does that look like day to day? If somebody wanted to do that, if you could just give me a sentence or two and just...
Yeah. I mean, for me, what it's looked like, it's I hear the soft whisper of God in my head, right? In my awareness, I hear that soft whisper of wisdom. And instead of ignoring it or questioning what it is or not knowing what it is, I know exactly what it is and I take action on it. And I hear that whisper of wisdom all day long. It isn't some mysterious thing to me anymore. It isn't something that I'm like questioning. It isn't something I'm trying to find that feels mysterious, which it used to feel that way. And I'm taking action. So that leads me into places of all kinds that I would never have ended up before, where maybe I go over and I'm talking to someone. I just feel the whisper, hear the whisper, and I go talk to someone in a coffee shop.
Wow.
Which I would not have necessarily done that before because I would have questioned the wisdom. Right. And been unsure, like, I'm going to go walk up to a perfect stranger? That feels weird. There are all kinds of circumstances, like I will hear the wisdom say, hey, reach out to so-and-so. And I'm like, for what? Right. And sometimes I get a response and sometimes I don't. And sometimes it just repeats and says like, no, just call so-and-so. And I will just call them and or reach out to them in some way. Essentially say, I'm not totally sure why I'm reaching out to you, but it's a God-inspired moment. So like, are you available for a combo?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So those things feel pretty brave to me.
That is. And it goes with your faith thing too, right? Where you said learning to live by faith. So both of them just go hand in hand. I love that.
Yeah.
So was it last week, maybe on Tuesday, I had something similar happen. I think there was something about suicide that came up. I don't know what it was.
Okay.
And it was like, I'm so sorry. I need to put this on Do Not Disturb, but it's too late now. So I'm just going to keep exiting.
No worries.
Anyway, but whatever the challenge was, it was like, just reach out to some people and tell them that you're thinking about it. And I did. And I just texted a lot of my friends, hey, I just want you to know I'm thinking about you. And I can't tell you, like, there was probably 4 or 5 of them that were like, are you serious? This is so timely. Thank you so much. But I was thinking about them. I wasn't telling a story. And sure. I think you're right. Like, we just have to live by faith. And that was brave for me. I don't know if I could do it in a coffee shop, but that's a good challenge. I challenge everybody listening to listen to that voice. And if that voice tells you to go talk to somebody in the coffee shop, do it. That was pretty good, Sarah. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Sarah, I've had so much fun talking with you, and I hope that a lot of people will reach out to you because you're online. So you could really, and this is not therapy, so it's not like you need to be licensed. Like if somebody in Denver wanted to join one of your groups, would that be?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Permissible? Okay. I just didn't know if it had to be licensed or not. But anybody, anywhere really can reach out to you on your website, and I'll include that on the show notes. And I feel so calm after talking to you. You have a very calming presence.
Cool. Thank you.
You've been told that? Have you ever been told that?
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. And I hope to meet you in person.
Yes, me too. This has been lovely.
I did want to mention a lot of people, because I live in Charlotte part-time and I live here part-time. But
okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people in the Charlotte area still want to help and want to know how things are doing in Western North Carolina. And obviously, Swannanoa was hit probably among the worst after Hurricane Helene. So is there anything you can think of if anybody wanted to do anything still, or where should they go?
I always forget the name of this organization that's right down the road. I think it's Hearts Helping Hands.
Okay. And I can put it in the show notes. I'll look it up.
Okay, yeah. And it's right here in Swannanoa. And I have found them to just be like the central hub of accepting donations and networking and coordinating with all different types of people that are still wanting to help, which has just been so beautiful. Yeah.
Yes. Was your home harmed at all?
We were on, I'm not even sure what side of the road this is, but I just sort of call it the right side of the road. If you were on this side of the road, you're pretty much fine. If you were on that side of the road, you were less than fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm thankful that you are okay. And I'm thankful that we had this time together. And I'll send you an email to wrap up for everything. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to get in touch with Sarah, as you heard a couple of times, you can go straight to her website and I'll include it in the show notes below. Until next time, we'll see you later, everybody. Thanks, Sarah.
Cheers.
All right. Bye.
Bye.